Hello there and welcome back to my YouTube channel and to today's video all about the introduction to your ACCA financial accounting examination. That's the FA, also known as the F3 paper. My name is James, if this is the first time you've ever clicked on one of my videos, and welcome to my channel, because on my channel I actually dedicate all my videos to my lovely subscribers, and today is no different, as you can see in the middle on here, so thank you so much, Manju. Today's video is dedicated to you, as are all my videos to my lovely subscribers, so if you'd like to become one of them, be sure to hit the subscribe button below, leave me a comment what you thought of the video, and any requests for any future videos. Make sure as well you share this video with any study buddies or friends you know have got the exam, and of course I'd really appreciate it if you give it a massive like and thumbs up. Thank you so much for all of your support to the channel, it means so much, and I'm so pleased that the videos are helping so many of you pass your examinations on there. But first of all, we actually have to consider in today's lecture, we're going to be walking and talking you through the key syllabus areas that you need to be aware of for your financial accounting examination, along with exam tips that I'd be implementing myself if I was in your shoes and I've got to sit the exam next week, next month, whatever it may be. But if you want to get this written down, screenshot it, pen and paper, photo, whatever works best for you, these are the key areas of the syllabus that you need to be aware of before your examination. So first of all on here, you've got the actually explaining the context and purpose of financial reporting on there. So you've got to know some of the other key aspects about stakeholders, so that those are actual internal and external, and what are their actual needs. Then you've got to consider, well, what's the actual scope for financial reporting on there? What elements are included? And then also the actual regulatory framework and other aspects that you'll need to be aware of for your examination on there. This will also link into legislation, what relevance is this going to be placing on it, and who's actually charged with governance within the organisation. So this is where who's actually responsible, who's going to be accountable to the shareholders overall, and this just links into the actual reporting of those financial statements, and then how it links into the annual report and the annual general meeting. We've got on here for part B, or syllabus area B, should I say, define the qualitative characteristics of financial information. Well, first of all, it's really key that you understand the difference between qualitative and quantitative. So quantitative is all about numbers and figures. Qualitative is all about words and narrative on there. So how that will link into the financial information, how we communicate that, again, to stakeholders, both internally and externally. Syllabus area C, we've got to demonstrate the use of double entry and accounting systems on there. So you've got to know, first of all, your debits and credits, and I've got videos on the channel that will help and walk and talk you through these. Then you've got the actual accounting records themselves, how they actually fit in to the accounting systems. So all the journals, ledgers on there, the information and how the data is presented. These are all key factors that you need to be aware of for your financial accounting examination and to be able to demonstrate on there. For part D, as you can see on the screen now, we've got record transactions and events. So this is where you've got to have a real broad knowledge of all the different accounts that actually go into a set of accounts that you'd have to produce. So just as an overview for you, you've got your sales and purchases, you've got your cash, you've got your inventory, and trying to think how these impact on the income statement, statement of financial position, and also the cash flow statement. Diving into a bit more detail now, you've got your non-current assets, whether they are tangible or non-tangible on there. So can you actually touch them yourselves on there? So tangible you can touch, or should I say intangible you can't touch. So that'll be goodwill or the actual brand of the organisation and how it's amortised. You've also got to consider depreciation on top of that. We've got accruals, we've got prepayments, you've got your trade receivables, trade payables on there, what provisions and contingency, so how likely is the event actually to happen, and then finally the actual capital structure of the business. You've got to be able to actually communicate, so what's the balance between debt and equity of the business, and these all link into your ratios, for example, so within capital structure, that would link in nicely to the gearing ratio. Coming on to part E now, in the syllabus, you've got to prepare a trial balance, so including identifying and correcting errors. So it sort of does what it says on the tin there. You've got to be able to actually show that laid out correctly with the totals, totaling your actual balance on there. But then if you actually have an error in there, you've got to identify the corrections, any suspense accounts, what control accounts are you actually using, and how we're actually reconciling that. So considering your balance is carried down and the other one's carried forward on top of it. So that links into nicely for part F on here, preparing the basic financial statements for incorporated and unincorporated entities on here. So you've got to know the difference between the two, how they actually function. But the main things that you need to be aware of when preparing those financial statements are, well, first of all, the profit and loss account, also known as the statement of comprehensive income. You've then also got to be aware of the balance sheet, also known as the statement of financial position. You've got the cash flow statement, statement of changes in equity, so what's the ownership done over the years of the actual business. Then any disclosures within the actual accounts that you need to be notifying, especially to the external stakeholders in the actual annual report. Any incomplete records, so that could be coming from actual suppliers, or maybe there are cut-off issues at the year end that we may need to communicate and actually identify a balancing figure on here. And then finally, and this gets tested quite a lot to get down in your notes, events after the reporting period. So classic examples of that could be a fire or a flood to a manufacturing area, and then how do we actually account for that in the accounts. Coming on to part G of the syllabus now, we've actually got to prepare simple consolidated financial statements on there. And you've got to be understanding the difference between a subsidiary, so owning more than 50% of an organisation. So maybe you're in a group and the parent owns 50%, more than 50% of another company, they would be deemed to be a subsidiary. Whereas on the other hand, what you need to know for your exam is an associate. And that is a percentage ownership, again, of that parent company to the subsidiary, to the associate now we're talking about, and that will be between 20 to 50%. And that links into how much control and how much we have to disclose and include on there upon consolidation, which we'll go into more detail in future lecture series. But this is all about identifying the parent company and getting a good picture in your mind about what is going on here financially. Finally, on to the interpretation of financial statements. So I'm hoping straight away ratios are coming to your mind. You've got to understand the importance and purpose as to why we actually interpret them. Why do you go about it? Well, to try and work out how it can be more efficient and effective or profitable. And this is where you get linked into the different ratios are categorized into different areas. So you've got profitability, liquidity on there, capital structure, and then your earnings on there, so it fit into the earnings per share. But that just gives you a nice little overview flavour of all the different areas of the syllabus, me talking them through, and now it links into the actual examination. Because you've got two sections in your exam. If you're completely new to financial accounting, you've got objective test questions on there for 35, so that's 70 marks in section A, and then you've got two MTQ questions of 15 marks each. I have done a how to pass the financial accounting examination on another video on the channel, and it walks and talks you through how I'd actually approach the exam and the time management on there in order to get the right marks so that you can pass it. So coming on to the actual examination now itself, it's 2 hours on there. You've got no reading time, so this is just so you're aware of all the key elements on here. Section A, for those actual objective test questions where you either put the right answer or you don't, that can assess any area of the syllabus. So if you haven't got your core text or you'd like a recommendation for it, I'll put the links to those in the description of the video. Feel free to check them out. They'd be the ones I'd be buying if I was in your shoes, along with the flick notes as well. They'll be very, very helpful to go with your question practice. The next key thing, really important for you to get down, is the external examiner tells you what to expect in section B, and it will test accounts preparation and consolidations on there. This is the more difficult part of the examination, so make sure you get that down and you've done lots of question practice beforehand. The pass mark on this exam, if you're completely new to ACCA, you need 50%, so you've got 100 marks on the exam, you need 50 or more to pass the exam, and the average pass rate is 70%. So that means that for every 100 students that turn up to do the exam, 70 will pass it, or it depends which way you look at it, 30 will unfortunately fail it. And ideally, this should be your third exam where you've already previously done the business technology and management accounting, but maybe you're doing two together. But it's just so that I wouldn't be doing the financial reporting exam before you've done the financial accounting exam, just so you're aware, especially if you're completely new here. I get a variety of questions on it, that's why. But coming on to the exam tips now, and just to highlight for you the importance of it, that you can't question the spot on this exam. You've got to go through all of that syllabus, getting down those key areas, and I'd highly recommend that you split up your notes into different sections, following the syllabus on there, so that if you did make a mistake or you need to make a specific note, maybe about ratios, then it would go under that certain area of the syllabus. It's a really good way of separating out all your notes and keeping it neat and tidy. And this is just my opinion for it, but I believe Section B is harder than Section A, hence in my actual examination tips to how to pass it, I've allocated more time to Section B. What I'll do is I'll put a link at the end of this video so that you can go and click it and you can go find that video straight away for you. So make sure you stick around to the end. Then we've got the actual exam time management. The external examiner continually tells us that students run out of time, or they feel like their answers are rushed. So 1.2 minutes per mark comes from 120 minutes for the exam divided by the 100 marks, hence 1.2 minutes per mark as a sort of rough guide. This is such a biggie for this exam because you've got to select the right answer, but fully understanding the requirement and reading all of the answers carefully, pop it down in your notes. There will be deliberate wrong answers that are designed to actually throw you off. So trying to pick out the key words, ask yourself, what are they wanting from me here? Who does it relate to? Is it a company? Is it an individual? And then go from there. You may actually have number input, as you can see from point 5, and you've just got to be specific to the situation. So you may have to put a number down and it's already giving you in thousands. Again, check out the how to pass the exam video on it. It runs through every single scenario and I'd definitely recommend it. I'll take you through every single one of them. If you haven't already, ACCA also have on the computer-based examination practice platform 2 tests on it. I'm going to be doing a review of them. I'll be honest, at the recording of this, it's in my notes to do, so be sure to also check that one out. But in essence, from my experience and from students I've helped pass this exam, the more past paper questions and exam questions you do, the better off and greater chance you've got of passing this examination. And the key thing is that after the financial accounting exam, I always get asked which one maybe you should do after it. Well, it really nicely links into financial reporting, also the F7 exam. So make sure you keep your notes together because you may have to actually revert back to them and check them out one day. But those are the key exam tips. And if you follow those, I believe, along with the other videos on the channel, make sure you check them out. I'll put them on the screen in the videos. They could be the difference in getting those final marks to get you in those 70% that will pass this examination. But as always on that bombshell, I'll see you next time. Cheers.